Wow, the wind is blowing like a motherfucker. Hello, might mix right. Is this thing going? Yeah. Okie dokie. It's been a while since I've done like a video live stream. And the Babes of Wrath just beat Athena and Mercedes Monet. Good stuff. Oh. So I have a weird orientation here. I've got like this screen, which is my TV. I don't know why I'm just not using my laptop. Oh, because my laptop is down here. And like, yeah, I need to figure this out. Oh, wait, I can just, it's a portable screen. I can just move it. Wow. What are the fucking odds of that? What a mess. I need. Maybe I should have set this up before I started the stream, but whatever. I usually just wing things. How is everyone doing, by the way? Those of you who are here. Let's see. Well, this it did disconnect. Okay. Who's wrestling next? I wonder. Oh, Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd. Oh boy. What ridiculous things is Darby going to do this time? He was in the hospital not even all that long ago. Like he posted an update from the hospital, or at least AEW did. I don't know. Anytime Darby wrestles now, I'm like, yeah, it's right there. They just showed it. He had a neck brace on, and not even a month later, he's getting thrown down the stairs. It's just amazing. This guy's unbreakable. He's not, but damn if you can't really. All right, let's see here. Ah, Anybody else in the chat currently watching the pay-per-view? I don't know how far behind or far ahead mine may or may not be. Yeah, so I fucked up my abs, like, kind of badly. Like my lower ab area. Wait, what? Okay. Cody wrote. I don't watch WWE. I don't pay attention. I mean, of course, you know, the Cena. I didn't even watch the Cena match, but I read the news about it and whatnot. Yeah. I don't miss Cody all that much from AEW. He wasn't my favorite. Like, I mean, there's no denying that he was talented, but controls. No, that's not right. I like Gabe Kidd. I didn't know a thing about him until about a year ago. But I saw that promo that he cut after Darby Allin put him in the body bag, and I was like, yeah. Admittedly, I didn't really follow. Oh yeah, I was talking about my abs and why they hurt so much. Yeah, so I got this ab. Is it in here? Yeah. Oh yeah. This diabolical device right here. You put it on the floor and you stretch out, and then kind of like a plank. You can do it on your knees. You can do it from like a standing position. And I did something wrong, apparently. Either that or it's just really bad DOMS, delayed onset muscle syndrome, something like that. Yeah, I woke up and my lower abs. Well, before I even went to bed, my lower abs were killing me. But then I woke up and like I can't breathe too deeply, basically, because like hurts. That didn't hurt, weirdly enough, but it's like my lower abs, like it just. Yeah, be careful with these fucking things. And I don't think my core was like all that weak, because I do those dead hangs and like it kind of needs a core to keep yourself stable, and I do all the knuckle push-ups the knuckle push-ups also. Yeah, I'm getting a little crazy with the calisthenics, but you know, it's fun. And Darby's already taken ragdoll bumps. He's got a new tattoo, like all over the right side of his back. Or at least the beginnings of one. Okay, I'm gonna move this here. That's better. So, do you want the lasagna now? What? I I'm not exactly sure what that means. Well, I have to do something because I'm using my phone for this thing. The last wrestler I actually watched, well, technically right now I'm watching Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd. Hold on a sec. Oh, I hate this. I hate everything about my setup right now. It is so frustrating. But I think it's back or something. And Darby is bleeding? And knowing him, it's probably hard way. Yeah, Darby is bleeding pretty badly. Oh, not that badly, but it's, you know. Like 10 minutes into the match and he's already got marks all over his back. He's bleeding. He's nuts. This guy is certifiable. I love him. And now Gabe Kidd is bleeding worse. Darby goes in and just bites the wound. Yeah, my hair has grown. I don't like haircuts. I guess. I don't know. Oh, Gabe oh boy. He popped a gusher. Yeah, it's we'll see. Last time I tried to grow it out, I got it to about my shoulders, and then I just by the time summer came around, I just buzzed it all off. Ugh. The first two matches that opened this show were absolutely phenomenal. By the way, the two Continental Classic matches, and we still have World Championship four-way match, and what else? Oh, the finals of the Continental Classic. And I think Moxley got his teeth chipped or something partway through his match with Fletcher. His fucking teeth got chipped. Also, I found it just a little bit weird that these guys are bleeding more than the two guys who were in the street fight. But I think this is a street fight too. I'm not. I don't remember. Long hair is probably uncomfortable during summer. And the Red Wings lost. Yay. Hooray. Uh, not really. I mean, you put it in a ponytail. Um, Billions and billions of women have made it work. And billions of other men have made it, or millions maybe. I don't know if billions of men have had long hair. Who knows? Maybe. Well, something like 50 billion people have lived. Oh my God, dude. It's like he took the blade and just cut half of his scalp off. Yikes. I need to move this. Yeah, that's good. Don't do no. Oh my. Oof. Coffin drop from the top rope to the outside, because why not? Because why fucking not? Because it's Darby Allin. Oh. He is. Okay. I'm almost convinced Gabe Kidd hit an artery or something. That's just crazy. Oh. Yeah, I kind of don't know if I don't know if your average Darby Allin match. I usually hate the crowd that says that wrestling doesn't need so much blood. I don't know if your average Darby Allin match needs this much blood because the things he does already are very brutal. So the fact that both of these guys gigged, and especially Gabe Kidd, like he will not stop bleeding. That is just. It's not quite as bad as a Samoa Joe from the last pay-per-view, but and Darby pulled it out. Short and brutal, that match. And he's he's gonna need a stitch or two. Oh, Darby's got like a whole host of new tattoos going. I guess it goes from like the left side of his front to the back. Wow. I think he's also bleeding from his mouth. Good Lord. And Darby is being helped to the back. Yeah, it wasn't a 5, I guess. What's next? AEW Revolution, Sunday, March 15th in LA. It's possible I'll be back in the US by March 15th of next year. Oh, there's this match. What? I thought this was a pre-show match. The Mixed Nuts Mayhem at Death Riders, Tony Storm, Roderick Strong. Oh. Sure. I was thinking about the last wrestler UFC fighter I heard about was Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson. Yeah, I don't really watch UFC very much. Or at all. I think the last UFC match I remember watching, it was some fight where was it? I think it was one of the Silvas went to kick somebody, and his shin just snapped right in half. His leg just turned to jello. That was years ago. Years, like at least over a decade ago. I can't stand Dana White. I can't stand 70% of UFC fans I meet. So it's, Death Riders are making their entrance, looking as combative as ever. Marina Shafir is going to be women's champ one day. You just watch. You just watch. How has life been going? Not great, not bad, but not great. Not even really good, but not bad. Just lots and lots of unknowns at the moment. Lots of things I just need to get over and do. Well, not lots. There's one in particular, but yeah. And that involves leaving Finland, and I'm just kind of in a bit of paralysis about it because I don't want to leave, but it's also life here is not good. So, as you can no doubt tell by the fact that I've gone live now for like the past, I think 4 times in the past 7 or 8 days. Not much going on in life, which is not good at all. I've been trying to make the best of it though, like working out, reading, and watching wrestling. So short answer, life's been going indescribable, I guess. chime in if you were talking about fighters under Paramount. UFC is turning into WWE. The only difference is the UFC pretends it is legitimate like boxing or K1. Is there some kind of like fixing scandal going on in UFC? I usually say can't complain either, but there's plenty I can complain about. So, as somebody who believes in brutal honesty, it's hard for me to, you know, answer questions like that. And it's kind of the same with Finns that they say if you ask a Finn how they're doing, watch out because they'll tell you everything. Like they will be very, very honest. It won't just be like, okay. You'll get from soup to nuts, basically, the whole everything that's going on. They're doing matchmaking based not off long wins and working ways up the rank, but appeasing American fans. Yeah. Such is also the case when you've got so many sports betting sites out there now that are just absolutely ruining. And you mark my words, in 10 to 15 years, there's going to be so many betting scandals in sports that you're going to be sick of them to the point where at least one of the major American leagues, one of the major four American leagues is going to have like a complete reversal of their stance on these betting ads. It's only a matter of time. You know, like the networks that run the games are now FanDuel Sports Network and whatever. You know, it's that deeply ingrained, and it's like whenever I hear like Emmanuel Clase from the Cleveland Guardians, I wasn't surprised. I was more surprised to hear that Emmanuel Clase, who was making millions of dollars, got nailed on like tens of thousands of dollars for betting. But that's the nature of addiction, gambling addiction. And people jumped all over Emmanuel Clase like, well, you're making all this money and you risked it all and got banned over what, like $90,000 or less than that. And it's like, well, yeah, it's because it's a fucking addiction. That's the nature of the beast. It doesn't matter if it's 10 cents or $10 million. And you've got the ads everywhere, you know, you've got FanDuel this and Sportsbook that or whatever it's got. I can't even keep track of them all. MGM. And you have all these loser fucking influencers who also just smear their logo feces all over their fucking videos. So yeah, I wouldn't be amazed if the UFC loses all. I mean, they're having a fight on the lawn, the White House lawn, for God's sake. Come on. People in the Nordics don't do a lot of small talk, unlike America. No, people here do not do the small talk. I think people here regard small talk as just kind of superfluous. It's like if you go and you look at a bus stop here in Finland, you don't see people clumped together. You see like, and then 2 meters, and then 2 meters, and which is nice. Like one of the things that's going to be the most shocking for me when I return to the U.S. is getting myself reacclimated to this small talk culture. Like I have to like, oh, Marina Shafir is doing the hands in the pockets thing. Oh my God, she's going tit for tat with Orange Cassidy with the hands in the pockets. Oh my God, she is gonna kick his ass. And there goes Marina. Oh, she hit that fucking apron hard. I'm a grad student in social work, and they're starting to create separate trainings for gambling addiction, similar to heroin addiction training, which in Ohio is awful. Yeah, gambling addiction should absolutely be held in the same regard as other addictions. And, the bloom is off the rose pretty much when it's so widespread now. Maybe people thought it was quaint at first, like, oh, I can just do a little parlay on my phone, woohoo, and that'll be it. And then before you know it, in a month or a year or what have you, they're just way down the rabbit hole. And my dad was a problem gambler. He was absolutely addicted to gambling. And it sunk our family. And it was, at that time, it was around 2004. Dude, Orange Cassidy is getting wow. One right after the other into the turnbuckle. Yeah, it was in 2004 when online gambling was just picking up. He would just sit there and play poker on Poker Stars all day. And it was a quaint thing. Again, like, oh, I can sit on my computer and play for real money. I can be a millionaire, at my computer chair. Woohoo. Yeah. And then we started getting the PayPal bills and shit for, like, my mom went absolutely insane. But, he had his excuses, and what it really came down to was he had an addiction, and it wasn't treated like an addiction. He didn't treat it like an addiction. Nowadays, you can even bet on real life wars and disasters. Yeah. Yep. Pretty soon, everyone's going to have those glasses. Everyone's going to have those meta glasses, right? And they're going to be like preloaded with betting software or betting apps. And the glasses are going to like have a screen that shows up in front of you, and you're going to be able to bet on like everyday things. So like if you're walking down the street and you see two people fighting, it's going to come up with like live odds. And you're going to be able to bet on these two random people that you've never met before, fighting. Or you're going to be at the bagel shop, and you're going to be able to bet on how many seeds are on your bagel. The glasses are going to scan the bagel. Like, this is where we're headed, and but that's extreme. But I mean, did anybody see some of the horrible things we're seeing now? 20, 25 years ago, I try to keep hope, man. I really do. And like, hope is sometimes it's all you have. So I really try to hold on to it, and I try to see what this species is doing collectively as anything other than completely self-destructive. So you're betting on public transit. Yeah, and here we are. UFC is up Zuckerberg and Meta's ass. Yeah, didn't Zuckerberg want to be like didn't he want to fight somebody at some point? He started showing up in videos with his shirt off and a chain and like, dude, no amount of fucking boxing lessons are gonna change the fact that you are soft. Mark Zuckerberg is soft. Nothing he can do. He's one of those people, nothing Mark Zuckerberg can do can change the fact that he is just terminally soft and a loser. This match is entertaining as hell. This is why I love AEW. Because you can You can watch a match where two people beat the living hell out of each other and bleed buckets. In the very next match, you have like people, you just have like this comedy gold where the wrestling is still sound, but it's mostly based like it's mostly the comedy. It's not like WWE comedy, like having a leprechaun run around and be the son of the boss of the company or whatever they're doing. Who are the wholesome, nice fighters in UFC? Aren't most of them like hard asses? I know that there are some anti-Trump ones. For the most part, whenever I listen to like some sort of mixed martial artist talk, I'm like, CTE. Does Chris Jericho still have ties with AEW? Chris Jericho hasn't been seen um in months at this point. I think the consensus seems to be that he's just sitting out his contract so he can go and sign with WWE for one last run. After seeing how John Cena's retirement was handled, I don't know why you'd want to go and have your retirement match in WWE, but I mean, look what they did for Sting. Look what AEW did for Sting. That was a retirement. Hey, what's going on, Riley? Riley the Flaming Wookiee Cookie. I've always thought that name always entertained me. Wookiee Cookie. Yeah, so Chris Jericho is probably going to WWE, which is kind of where he belongs too, because WWE is the Trump company and he's a Trumper, so. I mean, I will give this much to Chris Jericho. He was still he was still wrestling at a pretty high level in his mid 50s, early 50s. Oh my God, Claudio is giving Tony Storm the big swing. Oh my God. Roddy and Marina Shafir standing off. Oh! Roddy just got kicked in his jaw. Oh, that looked bad. I don't recognize those names. No, it's been a good long while since I've been into UFC. Sometimes I'll see like interviews with people. Like there's this one fighter I see interviews with where he was eating I think he was eating a slice of pizza or something during an interview, and it was like I'd rather be fat and happy than look like one of these chiseled guys who like that. Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't want to be like one of those chiseled guys either, because you have to like really, really watch what you eat, and I ain't about that life. I'll work out and I'll keep muscle, but I ain't about to like go at it so hard that I'm like measuring my diet with a microscope. I love food too much, man. Ian Gary and Roy Ball. Yeah. Yeah, they also do a lot of business in Saudi Arabia, don't they? Well, who's not doing business in Saudi Arabia these days? In fact, I heard that WWE is going back to Saudi Arabia, or I don't know if it's WWE as a company or just some wrestlers from WWE. They're going to do some shit with Mr. Beast in Saudi Arabia. Like Orton is one of them. CM Punk's probably gonna go too, and it's like good. You guys deserve Saudi Arabia. You deserve it. Yeah, I can't fathom that either. It works for some people, but like when I started my workout routine, I also looked at my diet and I'm like, okay, I have enough discipline for this. I don't know if I have enough leftover discipline to just do the food thing and like I don't have the worst diet in the world, but I don't have the kind of diet that's gonna make me look like a bodybuilder. And that's a-okay with me. I don't need that shit. Tony Storm is so great. Tony Storm is, I think that she's the MVP of this company. And she has been the MVP of AEW for the longest time now. Like, not only is she a tremendous wrestler, but those promos she does, it's not just the fact that she can talk and she can like put someone in their place. And Mercedes Monet is going nuclear. The Monet train has fallen off the rails again. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, Tony Storm. Yeah, she's absolutely irreplaceable. Yeah, how did Lesnar? That always kind of struck me as odd too. What did Lesnar do to did he fight his way up to get those title shots at the beginning? Because I think about that sometimes. Rarely, but there are times where I thought like, how the hell did Lesnar go from like mixed martial arts nobody to like getting title shots? Monet is just losing her shit. Wow. And now it's Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter. I don't know who I want to win between these two. I like them both. Well, that's what WWE does. They pretend that they're like the monopoly of wrestling, and their records are like before AEW came into the picture. You know, what would people say about WWE? It's the big leagues, and a lot of people still think it's the big leagues, without realizing that there's more wrestling in 1 hour of AEW television than there is in 2 episodes of any of the big, well, except for NXT maybe. Like, there's more wrestling in 1 hour of AEW than there is in 2 episodes of Raw or SmackDown put together. But somehow it's WWE is still the big leagues, but it's only seen as the big leagues because that's where the most money is, especially now that they have TKO involved. Um, but like all their records and all the titles that are a lot of those titles are property of well, Vince bought WCW, and I'm pretty sure who has the NWA title. I don't think Vince has the NWA title actually, but they always talk about the championship lineages that go back all these years before WWE was even WWF, and all these metrics and all the numbers that they hype up and the self-flating. It's you know like it's still kind of seen like you're not legitimate unless you either go to WWE or unless you've been there. But that's such it's just stupid thinking. Um, and anytime a fan like looks at an AEW wrestler as a WWE guy, I'm like most of those people who are known for their time in WWE They wrestled on the indie circuit before they were even in WWE. They wrestled in New Japan. They honed their craft elsewhere. WWE does not create stars very well. A lot of the times they're already made, or most of what made them a star was honed somewhere else. Don't tell me Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is. God, I still don't understand that one. I don't know much about the pay scale in UFC. But another thing that AEW has done is it's made like it's more lucrative to be a professional wrestler now than I don't know than any time since the 90s when WWF and WCW were doing their thing. And that's another reason that this tribalism mentality from Fed fans is just so confusing because the existence of AEW just makes everything better for wrestlers, whether you like AEW or not. People should be happy that their favorite wrestlers are getting paid more and being treated better. Because if they're not treated well, they have another option now. They can go to AEW. And TNA is also on the rise a little bit. I feel like basketball is getting more popular in Finland. A lot of that has to do with, I mean, it's always been popular, but ever since that one guy, Lauri something or another, I can't remember his name, went to the NBA, it's gotten a bit more popular here. Lauri Markkanen, yeah, that guy. Most of my current knowledge about WWE when Dana White freaked out on Matt Riddle for smoking weed. Yeah. Dana White is such a cunt. I that's all I can say about him. He's a cunt. Yeah, UFC fans are they're interesting. Hello, Zesty Omens. That name looks familiar. It's been a while since I've seen a video. Still moving. Yeah, I'm in all likelihood. Yeah, I'm moving back to the US. I'm already kind of making plans and mentally preparing myself. But I'm pretty sure it's happening. Probably in 2026. Well, I mean, there's only what 28, 3 days left in 2025. But yeah, sometime probably before summer. Depends on how much more I can take, honestly. Godsmack. There's a band that lives in the annals of mediocrity. Oh my God. I liked Godsmack for like 2 seconds. And then Sully Erna started singing, and I'm like, oh God, another Lane ripoff. Oh. I mean, Omens, it's a mess here too. Um, of course, the US is a bigger circus, but Finland is a big mess right now, particularly for immigrants. So that's one of the reasons that I'm probably leaving. I'm far from the only one. Um, it's it's bad. It's really bad, and it's getting harder and harder to tell the two countries apart politically. I don't know if anybody remembers this or heard the news, but there's some members of parliament who made stereotypical faces with their hands to mock Asian people. These are people who are members of parliament in a country that's already seen as extremely racist. Those members of parliament have not been punished. They're not going to be expelled. They just made a piss poor apology. One of them hasn't even apologized yet. Um, yeah, anti-immigration sentiment is rising in a lot of places, and it's always been anti-immigrant sentiment has always been bad in Finland, but it's gotten so much worse over the past 10 years, and it hasn't improved. It's not getting any better. And like I said, you've got members of parliament, members of this government who make outwardly racist gestures on their social media in solidarity with another racist, and they're nothing happens to them. And when the spineless jellyfish of a prime minister of this country, Petteri Orpo, made an apology to Asian countries, he didn't even say that the gesture that those members of parliament made was racist. He said that it was childish. It's like, children know not to make that gesture. You know? Oh my God. Your family was in Dearborn and they heard about those weirdos trying to crusade against them. Weirdos? What who? I think I've been to Dearborn a few times. I mean, obviously, I've driven through Dearborn quite a few times. Oh, it's very wild. It's like I've tried so hard since I moved here to like I've always heard even like native Finns say that, oh, Finland, yeah, we're a pretty racist country, but I've tried to see past that, and I've tried to find reasons to say that, oh, the U.S. is just as racist. After that incident, I can't anymore. Like it's just there is an incurable form of bigotry in this country that's just not going anywhere. And again, there were plenty of Finns who were pissed off about that whole thing. I'm not saying that everybody was like, oh, this is fun. No, like there are plenty of people here that were embarrassed highly by what those members of parliament did, and pissed. But I think what really matters is how the people with the power react and respond, and they did not react and respond in a way that says that we have a zero tolerance policy for racism. That's rough. And since the people elected them, there you go. Jamie Hayter just did a missile drop kick from the announce desk onto the floor. It looked beautiful, but it looked painful. Obama was no saint when it came to immigration either. Like that's the thing. And she did another missile drop kick. Um, people think that because I'm a leftist that I think Obama was great, and no, Obama was not a good president. He was more as a person, he was more personable and he was more likable, obviously, than the dog shit that we have right now. the U.S. has right now, but policy-wise, he deported a lot of people himself. He was a friend of the gun lobby. He was a neoliberal. At best, he was just kind of slightly to the left of center on some issues, but on most, he was center right. I do not remember Barack Obama fondly. Maybe when I was like a teenager and I was living in Texas at the time, I was living deep in the heart of conservative hell. So, me as a 17-year-old seeing Obama climb through the ranks, like, ooh, hope, 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 yay. But as I got older, and even as I lived outside of the US for a bit and got like a good view of how things go in Europe, um, maybe that added to my perspective. I don't know, but generally speaking, he was better at integrating immigrants, but mostly by virtue of not weaponizing the military or um, loser incels with no other skills in life to go and kidnap them off the streets. That's one thing I can say Obama did not do, unlike some current sitting presidents. I never use the word liberal to describe myself because liberals in the classic sense are not leftists by any stretch of even the least knowledgeable mind or imagination. Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter are beating the crap out of each other. I kind of want Jamie Hayter to win. She's probably not going to win because Statlander's only had the title for a cup of coffee, but it's very windy outside. Some storm blew through like southern Finland today and knocked out a bunch of power. I think we're now getting a piece of it. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Ooh, Speaking of exploited workers, that's another thing that's on the rise in Finland. Um, Big investigations into companies using cheap labor, a lot of times from Thailand. The berry farms here in the summertime. Some of these capitalist pigs will hire really cheap labor out of Thailand, and so many of them are getting caught now. But it's like you catch one, and another one pops right up. A lot of things that used to be kind of unheard of in Finland are becoming kind of normalized. Like homelessness is another one. Homelessness, you may have seen the propaganda posts that, oh, Finland solved homelessness. And it's like, well, we'll see about that in another 6 months. And it's funny because a country where I walk around and I see um, aggressive architecture, what's it called? Like I forget the technical term for it, but hostile architecture. Where I look at a bench that's got a bar on it so people can't sleep on it. That doesn't scream to me, hey, we've solved homelessness. So yeah, Western Europe definitely, but Northern Europe's also kind of going through it. Where and it's not just like well, if you ask me, all workers are exploited. That's my personal take. If you work, you are probably being exploited and probably not being paid what you are worth, what your labor is worth, and that's just the bottom line for me. Nobody can fucking dissuade me of that belief. But some workers are more exploited than others. And hey, tags are loaded. Good to see you too. Yeah, when they're coming from a country where there's zero opportunity and they're told, "Hey, we'll give you opportunity," and that opportunity is like 10% of minimum wage. Oh, that looked bad. Anytime that, oh man, I had to see that again. Yeah, the landing on the head thing, whether or not they know how to do it, it always just sends a shiver up my spine. Oh. Kyle Fletcher took some kind of brain buster or something in one of the in his match. No, it was like a python choke suplex, or like a sleeper suplex from the top rope, and Fletcher just landed. He landed like this on the mat, and I was certain from that angle that he was dead, or that he was going to start, feeling for his extremities to see if his neck was broken, but popped right back up. And that's like the third big drop on his head that I have seen just in the past few months. Like, I do worry for some of these wrestlers sometimes that their days are very numbered with some of the bumps that they take, but UFC relies on these exploitative practice. It has these 10K to fight, 10K to win. 10,000. 10,000, especially when you only fight like what, once every month, if that. That's pathetic. And how much money is the UFC making? No, Statlander and Hader are slugging it out. Oh, dude. Oh, Chris Statlander just spit right in Hader's face. Some people may find that erotic, I guess. That's just kind of gross. Oh, package tombstone. Eee. Chris Benoit, man. What about Chris Benoit? Okay, so Georgian man fought 4 times. So once every few months. That's something else too, because your average UFC fan will say that professional wrestling is, because it's scripted, it's not nearly as tough as UFC. But these people wrestle 3, 4 times a week sometimes, and back in the not too distant past, you'd have people on the road 300 days a year, nearly every single night. That was a good match. Hater did not win. You could really make the argument that she probably should win the championship sometime soon because she only had to give it up because she was injured long, long ago. Maybe it's time to put the belt back on her, but what do I know? I'm just a guy sitting here watching this crap. Yeah, that's right. They got to pay. And it's the same with wrestling. A lot of these wrestlers, especially working under Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon was a cheap son of a bitch, he would make them pay for their own rental cars. These were necessities, not luxuries. They had to get from city to city, town to town, state to state, country to country, although he paid for their international travel. Um, yeah, they had to pay, unless you were like top dog, you had to pay for your room and board, you had to pay for your rental car, your flights sometimes, probably your ring gear. You know, you're in there making the company money hand over fist, and you got to pay for your own fucking rental car just so you can drive there again to make them more. If I end up back in the States, will I be going to Michigan? Yes. Um, that's what it's looking like anyway. That's where I have a place to stay long term. So that's probably where I'm going to be going. I guess luckily for me, I'm going to be living in an area where there's not, at least I've heard there's not a whole lot of difficulty in finding work. Unlike here. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. Um, yeah, more southern Michigan, but isn't that wild that Linda McMahon somehow is qualified to be a Secretary of Education. Her only qualification is donating a heap of money to politicians over the years. Just so wild to think that Linda McMahon. What more evidence do you need that politics in the US is pay to play? There is already plenty of evidence, but that's like, here you are. I don't know what a lay and pray fighter is. I don't know why. If it is what it sounds like, is it where a guy will try to like get someone in his guard and I can't envision it. Yeah, Orange Cassidy still comes out to that song, by the way. Orange Cassidy, yeah, like Tony Khan does not spare any expense for wrestler theme music because he's had Pixies, Where's My Mind, and he's also come out to a Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, or one of the Jeffersons. I think the song's name is Jane. Uh, MJF has come out to Sympathy for the Devil just once, but he did. John Moxley came out to Wild Thing. Um, who else had like licensed? Sting in his retirement match came out to Seek and Destroy by Metallica. And that got such a pop from the crowd, by the way. Like, because that used to be his theme music way, way back in the day. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Oh, I would love to debate Trump supporters. That would be fun. I don't think you can really debate a Trump support. Like, if you like legitimately throw your support behind a guy like Donald Trump who does not tell the truth, who is not honest about anything, who tells more lies per square inch than there is pounds of pressure in the atmosphere. Like, you're already entering the contest with bad faith because you're defending a liar. You're defending a guy who just lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. And yeah, politicians lie. Donald Trump is the king of false information and misinformation. And now that it's pretty obvious that he's got fucking dementia, at least frontotemporal dementia, sometimes the lies are just things that he makes up on the fly because he goes from one subject to something just tangentially related. It just seems to be like debating a Trump supporter, you've already won just by merit of being on the side of the truth. So when I see somebody like debating a Trump supporter, it looks fun, but only from the standpoint of it's entertaining. No one's learning anything. No one's being informed because the information that you give to them is fake news, and the information they give to you is like, to you and to the truth is just absolute bullshit. That Trump just pulled out of his crusty McDonald's fat ass. So while it would be fun, it's like, or entertaining for a while, I just cannot imagine that any of these debates, like I've seen some of those debates that people will have, like that they sit at a table and there's a microphone and then like somebody has an allotted amount of time to come and yap. I've seen some of those and it's just like there's a dude who was like a literal Nazi and was proud of it. And this guy on the other side who was not a Nazi was just like dumbfounded. And like that's all you can do, Like you can't talk a person like that out of their beliefs, and you can't use facts against them because they will not believe it. They exist in their own reality. At this point, in the political landscape, it's like you have people who are on the right side of history, who are on the right side of the facts, and you have people who are living in their own reality, like completely detached from everything. It's just it's nuts. People are just nuts, and you have to be nuts to support Donald Trump. You have to be a sociopath. It's that simple. Undertaker, Kane, any of these other wrestlers, like when I saw that Undertaker had, or Mark Calloway, whatever, the namesake of my channel, for God's sake, had Donald Trump on his fucking, he's making politics fun again. Like, I get it now. This is why people love him so much. They don't care as long as it's fun. They don't care that people's lives are being torn apart for nothing because it's fun. They don't care that everything they believe is a goddamn lie because it's fun. So fun. Anyway, the next match is Jon Moxley versus Kazuchika Okada for all the Continental Classic marbles. Do they slam in UFC? I didn't know they did many suplexes in UFC. Maybe I don't understand the way that's worded. Any decision wrestler ignoring that as much wrestling-based fighters. Oh, so are they like avoiding getting knocked out to take the match to a decision rather than something decisive like getting knocked the fuck out? think this is the penultimate match. There's one more after this one. That's the main event. Do you mean the cameos where he's in character as The Undertaker, or does he have new ones? You want to talk about sad cameos? Go look at some of the shit Ric Flair's been pulling lately. I don't even feel bad for him. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I feel bad for Ric Flair, but like all Ric Flair ever does anymore now is get drunk and complain about being married 11 or 12 times. As if he didn't make the decision to get married. He blames the system and all of his wives for taking all of his stuff, but it's like, have some fucking number one, have some self-control, and number two, take some responsibility for your own life. You're 70. How old's Ric Flair? Man, I don't know, like 80. Like, he was born in 1949, so not quite. But it's so sad now. It's, that there are people a quarter of his age who have taken responsibility for themselves and for their actions better than he has. So he's making cameos where I think one person paid like $500, which, come on, is it really worth it? Even if he made a phenomenal cameo, would it be worth $500? But he's in a restaurant and he looks horrible. By the way, he looks horrible. He looks like he's been through a meat grinder. And Ric Flair is like the dude asked him to congratulate him on his wedding. If you haven't seen it, and he's like, "Oh, why would you get married? My wife fucked me over. It's just a big scam," and all this other bullshit. And it's just like, I've heard him on so many different occasions on different podcasts and different thises and that's interviews, talking about how scammed he was in his marriages and how horrible. It's like, who decided to get married? That's not a decision that you just are coerced into. Like, you make that decision and you know how life altering it is, and you know it can go tits up, and you know that legally speaking, half your shit could get taken. So Ric Flair is just like unbelievable shell of whatever he used to be. It's always interesting to think that a wrestler could make it in mixed martial arts. Because you have to learn striking and you have to learn strike defense. It's not all, like. And if I remember anything from amateur wrestling, it's that it's not very submission based. You're not always there are no pins in UFC, so whenever wrestlers make it, I'm pretty impressed. Well, the hype I think behind those two wrestlers, like Undertaker, I was a huge fan of as a wrestler. The man, the person, no, but as a wrestler, his gimmick and just the mystique about his gimmick always, it. He was the first wrestler that I really became a fan of when I started watching wrestling. Um, Ric Flair, his mystique is he's a great wrestler and he's like one of the greatest of all time. And, you couldn't really tell that by his body of work in the last 20 years of his career, because he held on for way too long. But as we know now, he held on mostly because he had all that alimony to pay, I guess, for whatever debts he got himself into, because he was just, his gimmick was like living an extravagant, lavish lifestyle, and he lived his gimmick, So it's not much of a surprise that he's ended up with all the financial issues. Yeah, I saw some, but speaking of cameos, I saw some of the Undertaker cameos where he was in character. I don't know if he's done any recent ones in character, but a long time ago, like one of them I saw was to some woman who was celebrating like her 90th birthday or something. Um, it could always be worse though. At least they're not like. And I've also like Mick Foley. I've heard gives like always gives like really good cameos. What's worse is the fans defending Flair's behavior. Yeah, well, of course. Like for some reason on my Facebook every now and then I get Ric Flair's posts where he posts everything every word with a capital letter for some reason. I still don't understand that shit. And man, he's got just like anybody else, he's got bootlickers all over his comment section. Oh, we love you, Rick. I love what you did 45 years ago when you were relevant. Uh, yeah, so I'm not surprised people defend it. You know, people want to love their heroes no matter what, even if they turn out to be colossal pieces of shit. But people who mature and are a bit more emotionally intelligent, I would even say, those people don't tend to cling to other people for too long. They are able to see the bad and you know. Yeah, CM Punk's MMA run was bad. I saw his fights, and you know, like I was one of those people who's like, yeah, at least he's trying. You're not getting your ass in a cage and fighting. At least he's would CM Punk, and this is now that CM Punk has outed himself as nothing more than basically a money grubber in the disguise of man of the people. If the money wasn't on the line, if CM Punk was not being paid as much as he was being paid for those fights, would he have still walked into that cage? And the answer is no. CM Punk would not have gotten into that cage if he was not being paid six or seven, whatever figures, maybe more. I don't know. Um, CM Punk is not he's not a person who fights for the love of fighting. He fights for the love of money. In that respect, he's not much better than Jake Paul. So when I think back on his wrestling or his UFC time, I'm not as complimentary as I once was. I'm actually like, wow, dude, you got paid all that money and you got smoked that quickly. Um, yeah, he looked bad. He looked like he was confused, especially in that first fight. Um, and of course, you got to give a little respect where it's due when somebody does go into like a combat situation like that. But again, would he have done that if there weren't that kind of money on the line? No. So that kind of takes the edge off of getting the shit kicked out of you. You know, that's why like Logan or Jake Paul was as we speak, even though the side of his face looks like the half of a beach ball, just ended up there. And it's probably in some of the worst pain of his life. That all that money he made from that fight absolutely takes the edge off of it. And he absolutely knew he was going to get his ass kicked before that fight, but it really helps to know that you're going to be making a shit ton of money for it. Didn't Punk still walk out with quite a good payoff? Pretty sure. I mean, obviously, he didn't get paid probably what he was worth. Total earnings were over $1 million. Yeah. $1 million to go in and get your ass kicked that quick. Um, you know, probably not what he's worth, of course, but at the same time, he also had all sorts of people saying that he didn't belong there and he is just a wrestler. And so, I mean, Lesnar was a champ too, is the other thing. I would just assume by virtue of being the champ, you know, I don't know that CM Punk, like, I also don't know what the ratings of his matches were. I remember that old ROH shoot interview of CM Punk and Colt Cabana describing how they took advantage of the ring ramp that they called Bikini Girl. What a voice at the voiceless. Yeah, we're I don't remember that. I'll have to look that up. Um, but yeah, we're seeing the true CM Punk as time goes on, and I don't it's I used to be a fan of him as a wrestler. Um, I don't think I ever really bought the voice of the voiceless stuff because it's a character, it's a gimmick. This is wrestling, you know? The man of the people, the voice of the voiceless, the dogged fighter for the disenfranchised. It was never real. It's only when he started making it obvious, when he started talking about the wrestling business, and he started, and then he went to Saudi Arabia. Everything he ever said about being a man of the people, I don't care what he says. I don't care if he comes out tomorrow and says he's like a fucking socialist. He would still be very suspect as a human being. Like, I don't think there's anything he can do that could like rehabilitate his image now. He doesn't have to worry about that because he's in WWE. You know, again, money will take the sting off of a lot of things, mental and physical, in this world for a lot of people. Um, and CM Punk is one of those people where money versus morals, money will win out every single time. Why did Lesnar have that easy path though? Like he wasn't like a star wrestler for very long before he went into UFC. Lesnar was, he was a wrestler for like a year, he was wrestling at a high level for like a year before he quit. Um, and when he did quit, it was in like shame. It was a terrible match that everybody fucking hated. And then he went to the NFL and he failed there. So I kind of don't know. I didn't follow UFC back then, and I still don't, but I don't know. His size, his work ethic, who knows? Got a chat on two different. I'll just look at this screen because it disappears on this one. They wanted an easy rating superstar who can promote themselves because the UFC at the time. Ah, okay. But the other thing about Brock Lesnar is he wasn't a great talker. He didn't have like that riz that they talk about. um, so were they just guessing that he was going to be like an easy rating guy? Maybe I'm underestimating like how much his name recognition meant, even though he only spent that year at the tippy top of WWE. I see. Okay. Who is Jason David Frank? He has three first names. Yeah, he does look insane. The Green Power Ranger? Oh yeah, that dude did die. When I was a kid, I didn't really watch Power Rangers. There are a lot of shows I didn't watch because a lot of times I would rather watch the Weather Channel. I shit you not. Like I watched, like when I was really, really little, I watched Barney. I was born in 1990, so oh, most of my memories are watching the Weather Channel because like I was obsessed with the Weather Channel when I was a kid. God damn, Okada. Of course, Okada's a heel, and I get that, but man, winning a tournament like this by kicking people in the dick. Because it came out before X-Men. It wasn't until I turned like 5 or 6 I started watching Nickelodeon. Uh, Actually, no, I watched it a little bit before that because I remember watching Pete and the Adventures of Pete and Pete. Uh, and Rocco's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy. My dad won't let me watch the Ren and Stimpy after a while, though. Yeah, I watched like the Weather Channel before Storm Stories was even a thought. I remember the old school local forecasts, the Weather Star 4000. Um, I even on my old Undertaker Freak channel, I have a video that I'll probably re-upload here eventually of like an emulator of the Weather Star and that smooth jazz music, and sometimes it was like instrumental rock bands. And like in 93, 94, the Weather Channel didn't have like a lot of original programming, as it were. It was mostly they played the local forecast on the eights of every hour, and then they just had like weather from around the country, and then like a travel forecast, and they would just kind of loop around. But when I was a kid, I was just obsessed with, and like to this day, I'm obsessed with tornadoes. Um, like my focus has shifted more from just meteorology as a whole to just I want to know everything that I can learn about fucking tornadoes and hurricanes. Um, and when it was hurricane season, man, I was just glued because like the radar loop of the hurricane, the reflectivity would just be churning along and then back and then back and forth and back and forth. And like when I was 3 or 4, just looking at it, I was like, wow. All right, take care, Mitsuri. Yeah, it's very rare to hear someone from Ohio say they'd rather be in Michigan. You know, you must not be an Ohio State fan, which I respect that. There are plenty of drug addicted spots in Michigan, I'm sure, too. When I lived in Michigan, there were, yeah, there were some, especially out in the country, lots of meth barns. But take care. Uh, I don't have a lot of the videos that are not currently on the archive. Um, I have some on a very, very old laptop that I have with me, where I made most of my videos back in the day. Um, but like the ones that I can find, maybe I'll re-upload them. Probably. I mean, I don't know why I shouldn't re-upload them. They're my videos. I only really know Ohio as a state that me and my family drove through every summer for a while to go to Tennessee. Like, besides that, we didn't really have much of a reason to go to Ohio. The Will of DC. There's a name. Moxley's gonna win. Moxley is your Continental Classic winner. Interesting that he's gonna win this because I thought for sure. I thought for sure he was gonna lose it, and then the Death Riders were gonna look at him as a loser and just turn on him. Maybe they'll be jealous and turn on. I don't know, or maybe they're not gonna turn on him. John Moxley is not a heel anymore, man. Like he has not been a heel during this tournament, so they're gonna have to do something. Yeah, the Will of DC. What I remember the Will of DC the most for was one of the higher ups at YouTube was he was interviewing one of the higher ups at YouTube and asking him if like the higher subscriber, if like the top dogs played by a different set of rules, which was obvious that they did. It was absolutely obvious that if you had like 1 million subscribers, this was 2010, by the way. If you and it's still like this to this day, but if you had to eat like 1 million subscribers or more, or like 500,000 even, hell, 2010, yeah, even if you were like past 100,000, you definitely played by different rules. So you could use the misleading thumbnails, you could use the misleading titles, you could do the things that were explicitly verboten by, YouTube's guidelines. So this dude is sitting there with a straight face telling the Will of DC, "Oh, everybody plays by the same rules." And the Will of DC is just sitting there like laughing along to his shitty jokes, and basically, as Archfiend called it, just being a lapdog for the guy. That's what I remember Willa DC for the most. And of course, the fact that he would have been nowhere if not for being Ray William Johnson's roommate or some shit like that. I don't even remember what the Willa DC did. I don't remember that video I made. I remember being like loopy in it. Saying tone down the racism, please. Oh, you were there when Taker got turned into Crispy Taker. Yeah. And then the next day he showed up on Raw and he had like this yellow crap all over him. He looked like he like ate a hot dog and got mustard on his face or something. Oh, Willa DC, he would like take he had like this show where he talked about people who like gained subscribers and lost subscribers, like winners and losers or something like that. It was, yeah, that shit. Moxley's cutting a fiery promo, and he definitely got a tooth knocked out. Are they going to do it now? Are they going to turn on him? No, no. Yeah, it looked like they were probably. If they are going to turn on Moxley, then someone's holding up a sign in the front row. Mox bladed while you read this. Yeah, for like the past couple of months now, people have been like posting pictures of the Death Riders, like their facial expressions and shit, as like foreshadowing for some kind of turn. But you know, if the turn wasn't gonna happen there, again, what do I know? I'm just some guy watching this. But if the heel turn, if them turning on him wasn't gonna happen there, I don't know. That seemed like the place to do it. Unless they're gonna like ride it out for another month or so. And the main event, Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe versus Hangman Adam Page versus MJF, who weaseled his way into this match at the very last minute. Yeah, I do still keep in touch with Archfiend every now and then. We're Facebook pals and we exchange messages every so often. Just a minute. Yeah, red ass. Many things still give me the red ass, that's for sure. In fact, I have an idea for a new one that I may make sometime soon. We'll see what happens. I'll be back in just a second. I need to go and drain the main vein, as they say. Luckily, it was a clean pinch. Ah, what? I didn't say anything. I'm eating yogurt with a fork because I didn't want to miss too much time here, and I have no clean spoons. Pretty much all my predictions have been wrong. Something tells me that Swerve is gonna... God, Swerve is absolutely fucking jacked. That's ridiculous. He looks like twice the size of what he was before he came back the first time. Something tells me that Swerve is probably... I don't know, I kind of get the hints of a heel turn here. The jersey in the background. Oh, that is Dylan Larkin, Detroit Red Wings jersey. The only one that I still own. Oh, MJF always knows how to make an entrance. This kind of reminds me of the Undertaker entrance, where Undertaker had like the arms coming up from like the pit or whatever. But this time it's MJF being surrounded by women touching him like that. Yeah, the idea that I had for the new Red Ass rant, bearing in mind that like the idea behind the Red Ass stuff is that there were the regular videos or rants or discussions or whatever where I talked about like bigger things, bigger issues. The Red Ass ones were supposed to be reserved for just the like, petty things that didn't really warrant. Like my hope was that people would understand that this thing pisses me off and in it, but it doesn't like consume my very being. So the idea that I have for the new Red Ass thing is it's very petty, but that's the whole point of it. How did they take that MJF banner down? I wonder. Does it just drop? I think MJF wins. Fairly certain that MJF got some kind of hair transplant. Because his hairline went from like the top of one of those like T-top convertibles to just like, you know, filled in. So Hangman Page's social tag at the bottom is a blue sky. Interesting. Yeah, MJF absolutely. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, but his hair looks so much different since he came. Like so different. Just once, I would like to see a three-way or a four-way wrestling match end in like 2 seconds, like a squash. That I'm sure you could find an example of it happening. I can't remember one from recent memory. I just think that would be funny. Samoa Joe to be moving the way that he still does with his size and his age. God almighty. Oh, yeah. He is still, even if he doesn't lose a title tonight, it looks like he still has so much more in the tank. I think he said in an interview that he might be retiring soon. MJF being MJF. I cannot imagine MJF being a face. I can only imagine him being a smug prick. Because he does it so well. Anytime he ever tried to be a face, like he still had to temper it with a little bit of like shittiness. So he was more of like a tweener. My old account, I think just before I deleted the channel, it was like 42,000. I didn't have 50,000. I had 50,000 like total. More than that actually. Like over time, like when I went and looked at my stats, it shows there's this website, I think it's called Social Blade, and it showed you how many you had and how many you had lost over the history of your channel. I think total I had like 70,000 or something people who subscribed and unsubscribed over the course of, well, I started that channel in 2006 and then I deleted it in like 2018, 2019. Probably sometime later. I don't remember. There's a lot of stuff over this past 8 years of my life that I just do not remember. Which makes a lot of sense, actually, if you understand the shit that I've kind of been through. But like, I don't even remember the day I decided to delete that channel. I know why I did, but I know it started with me deleting a shitload of my videos because I just thought the opinions in them were like a lot of my view of the world, my worldview had changed fundamentally in so many ways. And like seeing these old videos as like a representative of me, I just, I couldn't abide by it. So it got to the point where I was just going through these old videos and seeing so many ugly things that I had said or uninformed things that I had said. And, it was like after a while, it just became more logical to delete the whole channel rather than, go video by video by video. But I don't remember the day that I did it. Like as far as years that I just do not remember very well, fucking 2020, 2021. Probably like there was a point in time where I was at my ex-wife's cottage where I was in physical therapy for my shoulder, for this shoulder. And I don't remember a damn thing. In fact, we drove by the place once where I was getting that physical therapy. And my ex-wife was like, "Yeah, do you remember that summer you came here for your physical therapy?" And I was like, "I don't remember this building. I don't remember. I remember getting physical therapy. I remember, but I couldn't remember the person who was giving me the physical therapy. I know it was a woman. I don't remember what she looked like. I don't remember her hair color. And we would pass by this place, and every single time we'd pass by this physical therapy place, I would try to remember. Like I would like force myself to try to like get the memories back. I still don't have those memories. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, the relationship I was in was pretty traumatic in a lot of ways, and I was also smoking an unbelievable amount of weed. Um, yeah, I'm definitely a much more chill person than I was. I was strung out like just very very high strung, and I was always like my guard was always up. When you live with an alcoholic, and you've lived with an alcoholic in the past, all I can say is that it has a way of keeping you on edge, keeping you alert. Um, and that's basically who I was for from like 2020, especially because there's the pandemic, but then there's also that time I spent out at the cottage where I just felt so isolated from everything. And even though you've got somebody right here next to you, you feel so alone because that person is drunk all the damn time, just about. And what's worse is that they're drunk and they're lying about it. And that person is, you know, they go to drive somewhere and you worry if this is going to be the time where they end up crashing the car somewhere. Or they go walking the dog and you wonder if this is going to be the time where they go and fall down a hill, which happened, by the way. Um, it's just so much worry. Worry, 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 worry. And it's no wonder I was so high strung and I was just so like I needed something like pot to just numb everything the way that she needed booze to numb everything, I guess, which she was doing long before I ever came into the picture, unfortunately. But I didn't know. So that has a lot to do with why I'm a bit more chill. I'm even chiller than I was before I started that whole marriage shit. Um, but there's still quite a lot of worry in me for other things, but it kind of helps to just sort of see every issue that I have now as being in control of my own destiny. And if I'm in a shitty situation now or in a shitty headspace, I try to reframe it the best I can because our brains are constructors. Our brains are constructive machines. They're predictive machines, and they operate based on things that have happened in the past. And if you can not, I don't want to use the word control, but if you can nail those predictions down and kind of see how you acted a certain way when a certain thing happened, you can change your construction of your reality in a way. And that's helped me a lot, I think. Um, things still piss me off and things still get to me, but I don't let those things control me the way that I used to. Yeah, I'm also I'm right there with you, Mike. Like I'm not the only person in my family that doesn't drink, but I come from a very long line of these people. You know, like I guess you could find some psychoanalyst who would probably say that it's obvious that I would end up married to an alcoholic because I was raised by one. I was babysat by one. Um, one of my best friends was an alcoholic for a while. It's just a vile substance, alcohol. I'm so sick of seeing it on TV, and I'm sick of people who say that it's not harmful, even if you drink a little bit. A little bit is good for you. No amount is good for you. And trust me, I'm not straight edge. Like, if I had a bowl of weed in front of me right now, I would be all over that shit. But that's also something I need to watch because there was a point in time where I was using weed as a crutch, absolutely. And even if it's not necessarily an addiction, I was using it as a way to escape my reality and alter my reality. I would much rather be the one who does that. I would rather be the constructor of my reality than any substance, but I'll still use that substance. Why not? Just not alcohol. Because alcohol is it's vile. It's just fucking vile. And I absolutely hate the fact that you have people in this world who will say something as stupid as, I don't trust a man who doesn't drink. Okay. Like in 2024, I lived with a woman who had kids. Like we dated for a while, and then out of like a situationship thing, I ended up moving in with her and her kids, and it amazed me like how much of their screaming and yelling and bullshit that I could take without getting upset. I could just sit there and tune it out. And that was when I began to realize that maybe I'm not as reactive of a person as I think. Maybe I was just in a really shitty situation that made it impossible for me to be healthy. Because those kids would scream and we'd be on car trips. They'd kick the back of my seat. And, you know, of course, I would turn on sometimes and go, stop. But it never got to a boiling point. And it even amazed my friend who was a native Finn, who was the mother of these kids who took that shit for a daily basis. She was always worried that like I was gonna like explode or something. And the only time I ever like got really upset is when they would kick me in the nuts repeatedly. Because at that point, it's kind of like, okay, I told you 3 times now, you don't kick a person in the nuts. You know, it's not nice. More than that, it's injurious. But yeah, that whole situation, even though that sucked too, uh, yeah, that's where I begin to sort of realize that I'm not bound to patterns. I'm not bound to the person that I was rapidly becoming when I was in that kind of situation with the alcoholism. Um, like I don't know, like I'm very lucky that I'm not an alcoholic because it's in my blood, it's in my family, and like I guess I'm in like the well that's obvious category for people who are like predisposed to alcoholism, but I can't stand it. I don't like the it's not even so much the taste. It's just I know that if I have it and I have enough of it, I'm going to be out of control. And in a world of things where you have no control, I like to have as much as possible within a realistic sense. And I think it's realistic to want to have control of your faculties, you know, at least what's in here. And alcohol makes that impossible. It's not like weed where I sit there and I get stoned and I'm just pensive. Weed only ever made me pensive. Just made me really calm and really, but also, you live in a country where alcoholism is just so you can just see it walking down the street. It's really it's sad. And I think, the darkness and the coldness of the winter when summer comes around, it's like you kind of just assume that everything is happy, happy because people are out in the sun and people are in the warmth and people are socializing, but they're the same alcoholics that walked into hibernation over the winter. Just they're just more visible now. Oh no, Prince Nana's about to get crushed like a grape. Oh, he swerve landed on his foot really weird. Yeah, I was proud of myself. The situation was bad, but I got through it, and here I am. The kids didn't make me lose my mind completely. And when they weren't screaming and yelling, they were nice enough. But what else was sad is that I got to see kind of like what the newest generations coming up, how they're spending their time. And that kid would just sit in front of the TV scrolling uh shorts on YouTube like endlessly, like on a loop. And it was kind of hard to watch. And I didn't want to say anything to the mom about it. I wasn't about to parent somebody else's kids, but knowing what we know about the toll social media and short form content can have on mental health, it wouldn't have been entirely out of my, you know, it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world if I was like, hey, maybe, I know you're busy and everything, but maybe something else, but the short form shit that they're just scrolling through. I never did that. Their older brother always tried to get them to not watch all the reels, but whenever they had a spare moment, when they came back from outside playing, the kid would just plop down, turn on the TV, reels, 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 reels. And yeah, as a kid who grew up watching cartoons, that it was brain rot of a different variety, but at the same time, I had to devote a lengthier amount of time to sitting there and watching that cartoon. Whereas, this kid and what I guess I assume a lot of other kids are doing, that they're just consuming a video for 10 seconds and then, oh, I'm already bored. And then this video is 3 seconds. Oh, I'm already bored. And the next one's 5 seconds and maybe 15 seconds on the next one. Is MJF gonna win? I called it. I called it. I got a prediction right. Way to go, me. MJF is your new AEW World Champion. I don't know what the deal with Roblox is either. I have no idea what it is. I've that kid played Minecraft all the time. Minecraft and Fortnite. That's the main reason I thought MJF was going to win is because I don't think that they're going to cheapen the guaranteed contract that he turned in to win this belt or to be in this title match. It wouldn't be a great idea to cheapen that already. So, then again, Christian had one and he lost it, but it was fun and it made sense. So, is anybody going to surprise return? Maybe. Well, let's see. The lights aren't darkening yet. Nope. Guess not. So I guess that means the Triple B is coming back. Nice. You're born in 2000. I feel like there's a big disconnect between the Gen Z of like 97, 2002 and the newer Zoomers. Yeah. It's I don't really have much of a social life in general. I don't interact along generational lines very much. I don't interact with many people except for like online most of the time. One of my best friends who I play games with every now and then, he is a what is he? Generation wise, he was born in 2000, 99 or 2000. Yes, I guess he's Gen Z. And most of the other people I talk to are either millennials or Gen X. Where was I even going with this? I feel like I've been old enough. I've been alive long enough now to sort of really take in how much complaints every generation has about every other generation. Like when I was 12 or 13 years old, I couldn't, for example, understand how one generation could look at another as entitled or having it way too easy. You know, I now as a millennial, I look at future generations and I think the last thing on my mind is you guys got it easy. Like that doesn't even occur to me to think that a Gen Z or Generation Alpha or whatever comes after that is going to have it easy. Like they're going to have it so much harder. The whole thing, you're supposed to leave the next generation better than yours. That's over. That's over and done. So it's turning out that millennials like myself are pitying forthcoming generations, not because they have it easy and they're weak or whatever, but we're pitying them because they're going to have it so much worse. Because not to be a Debbie Downer or a gloomy Gus or what have you, but there's not a whole lot of stuff that seems to be improving in the, well, anything sector. So, yeah, it's weird how I grew up hearing boomers who are responsible for a lot of this mess, by the way, if not all of it, say that, oh, these Gen Xers and these millennials, they're just entitled and they've got it so much easier than we did. And it's funny when you hear them say that because they had it easy, like way easier than millennials. They lived in a time where tax rates were high enough that they had a much higher standard of life when it came to like public services and college. College didn't cost you your life and your kidneys, They could still go to college on the cheap, which would set them up later in life. They could buy a house on even if they didn't go to college, they could get a job in a factory and raise a family and buy a house. Like these are myths now for millennials and generations after that. These are just like, if you have a friend who owns a house, like they're one of the lucky ones. It's no longer like you're expecting this to happen. It's like you hear about a friend buying a house, and it's like, wow, you lucky SOB. And I, someone who used to be a homeowner, even when I did own that home, it wasn't fun. Because like it just felt like everything was from that point on, when it came to like maintaining the house and the rising cost of like the people who would come out and fix stuff and energy prices rising. Even when we own the house, it's like the enshittification of it, not just the internet, but everything and how expensive things were getting just made it like, why did we do this? What the hell were we thinking? Whereas back then you buy a house and, you weren't paying so much for utilities and, you weren't paying so much for just not everything that goes inside the house. Yeah, I feel like I took the last chopper out of Saigon a lot. Yeah. I can understand that sentiment. But yeah, at least we still have things like professional wrestling to keep us entertained in these really weird times. I'm moving back to the US at a time that is more uncertain than any other in recent memory, and it's just whether I go there or I stay here, there's uncertainty and there's problems. So people who are like apologize or saying that, oh, I'm sorry that you have to go back to play. Like it's a mess here too, Things still work a little more efficiently in Finland than the US, and I'd still much rather be here, but it's too hard to be here as an immigrant at the moment. Yeah. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for being here with me for this stream. I didn't focus too much on the wrestling matches. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I get in these tangents and whatnot. But I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll probably be streaming again sometime quite soon, so look out for that. But in the meantime, I hope you all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, don't die. Especially that. Dying sucks. I've heard from those who have died that dying sucks. And that's bad. So like don't do it. And have a good day, folks. Or a good night, or whatever the hell it is. How do you stop these broadcasts? I haven't done a live stream on my phone in forever, so you may actually be stuck with me for a while. Aha! Now I just need to find the button that got, yeah, there it is. Okay.